Welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we're going to jump into the Wayback Machine and go careening back to the 1970s when casseroles were king and they adorned every dinner table in North America. Well, our dinner table was no exception. And of course, Nana had some fantastic casserole recipes. My Nana's recipe, Tater Tot Casserole, was definitely a childhood favorite. And it's still a favorite for the child in me today. You're going to love this one. Tater tots were made by the founders of Ore-Ida, I think around 1953. They were looking for something to do with the leftover slices of potatoes that they were just going to throw away anyway. So they came up with the idea of mixing them with flour and some spices and then extruding them through a machine, cutting them off, and then deep frying them. Well, those became tater tots. We're going to be spending some time tonight in the freezer section and in the canned soup aisle because back in the 1970s, it seems like everything had soup in it. That was the main ingredient, especially for casseroles. Casseroles predominantly originated in Europe, where they were a lot more sophisticated. And around in the 1950s, they became a lot more popular in North America and the United States. By the 1970s, casseroles took on a less than sophisticated image. And that's where we're headed today. Less sophisticated for sure, but tons of fun. It's perfect for kids, but really it's for the kids in all of us. Tater tot casserole is a variation on something you've likely had before. Much like shepherd's pie, it has a protein base on the bottom, a vegetable layer, and then potatoes on top. So for our tater tot casserole recipe, I'm going to be using 2 pounds of lean ground beef. I'm going to be using some green beans, so I've got some giant green beans in the freezer along with our tater tots. I'm going to be using 1 can each of cream of mushroom soup and cream of chicken soup. The recipe calls for ½ a cup of onion. I may use ½ a cup or maybe the whole onion. I like to add some garlic into my recipe because I like to add garlic into all of my recipes. I love it so much. And then I'm going to also add some fresh rosemary and thyme from my garden. I was so lucky growing up. My papa was an amazing gardener, so we had every kind of vegetable and fruit tree you could possibly imagine. Nana did all the canning, so we had 2 great big deep freezers downstairs, a cold room for all the potatoes and stuff, and 1 long wall of all of the canning. It was amazing. I'm lightly browning my ground beef just so it's cooked enough to put into my casserole dish. So to get started, I'm going to chop up some onion and fresh garlic. Maybe some people might prefer it without any onion at all. I like a lot of onion. So I'm going to add the whole thing. It just sautés down so nicely. Oh, I'm crying. Oh, I forgot onions make you cry. Well, now that I've dried my tears, I'll add our onions to the bowl and get them ready to sauté. I love garlic so much. And of course it keeps the vampires away. I know the recipe doesn't call for it, but to me, garlic makes everything taste better. I'm going to put some olive oil into my skillet, and then I'll sauté the onions until they're soft and transparent. Then at the end, I'll add my garlic. So be sure to take care not to brown your onions. Just cook until they're tender. Same as the garlic. Very important. There. They're nice and shiny and tender and transparent. I'm going to add this straight into our 2 pounds of ground beef. There. All mixed up. It smells delicious. So I'm going to put this to the side and prepare my other ingredients. This is called a mezzaluna, half moon. I'm going to be using this to chop up my thyme and my rosemary. It works very well. If you have one, be careful. It's extremely sharp. Oh, the rosemary smells so fragrant. It's from my patio garden this summer. And now I'll add my thyme. I've got a lot of time on my hands. Haha. Again, I know this recipe doesn't call for these fresh herbs, but I have them and I'm going to use them, especially in the winter when you have fresh herbs. They just add the best flavor to any recipe. I love my mezzaluna. You just rock it back and forth on its base and it chops up your fresh herbs in no time. Now I'll just add my fresh herbs to my beef mixture. I'm using my mortar and pestle to grind up some peppercorns and some sea salt. I'm going to add that to my mixture as well. Next up, I'm going to open up our friend's cream of mushroom and cream of chicken soup. We'll combine these in a bowl. Add a little bit of milk just to mix. We don't want to make it too soupy, but we just want to blend it together nicely. We'll use half of it for our beef mixture, and then we'll reserve half to put on top over our tater tots at the end. We all know how to do this.
Campbell's makes your cooking good.
I'll just add enough milk to blend. This is also a great time to go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Just give it a good whisk. Oven's ready. There, I think that's perfect. Nice and creamy. Not too thin, not too thick, just right. Goldilocks would approve. So here's all of our ingredients for our Tater Tot Casserole. We've got our ground beef and onion, garlic, and herb mix. We've got our soup blend. We've got our tater tots, and we've got our green beans, all ready for assembly. Let's do this. First, I'm going to take our soup and divide it in half. Half for the base and half for the topping. And I'll put the rest of it aside for our last step. I'll just mix this together, and this will go in first, of course, as our bottom layer. Or you could absolutely use chicken or turkey for those of you who would prefer to do it that way. And of course, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can opt for the protein and soup substitute of your choice. Okay, it's time to put it all together. I'm so glad. I'm so hungry. So here we go with our first layer. Super simple. And just like that, I'm ready for my green beans. There, a nice even layer of beans. So now comes the fun part. Time for our tater tots. I'm just gonna toss them in a little bit, and then I'll line them up like little soldiers. So here's our tater tot casserole. Just one more step, and it's ready for the oven. So now we're just going to take the remainder of our soup, spread it across our tater tots, and we're all set. You want to try to spread the soup mixture over as much of it as you can. Well, we've done it again. Our tater tot casserole is all ready to go into the oven for 45 minutes at 350 degrees. Just set the timer for 45 minutes and dinner's on the table. I'm back. Our timer's gone off. It's been 45 minutes. And boy, am I ever ready to see what this tater tot casserole looks like. This is so exciting for me. Here we go. Boy, this looks scrumptious. They're nice and golden brown, toasty. It's so nice and warm and cozy in here. This is comfort food for sure. I'm really excited to try this one, you guys. It's sizzling, it's hot, it smells delicious in here. It's crispy and bubbly. Oh, time for our tater tot casserole taste test. Is it as good as I remember it? I bet it is. Let's find out. I'm going to have a nice big piece. Well, here we are. Time to try the tater tot casserole. You know, sophisticated or not, it's bougie enough for me. I'm really hungry, I'm excited, and I can't wait to try it. Oh. Tater tots are so good. It's really delicious. A great way to feed the family. The beans are just fresh and crisp. The tater tots are crispy and tender inside. All the flavors of the beef and the soups and everything are just absolutely beautifully married together. I love it. It's so fun. It's absolutely delightful. Thanks again for joining me in the kitchen tonight. It's been really fun making this for you. If you try tater tot casserole, I hope you love it too. It's great for the family and it's really delicious. Bon appetit.